Now let's head back to Winnipeg. Marit Stiles is standing by to talk with us, the leader of the Ontario NDP, also the leader of the official opposition in the Ontario legislature. Ms. Stiles, thank you for the time.
Oh, it's great to be here.
So, the federal party is obviously facing a number of struggles, a struggle to prove some relevance, a struggle in attracting numbers, raising money. I wonder, as we wait for the announcement tomorrow of who will be the next leader of the federal NDP, what do you think the new leader has to do to turn around such disappointing support across the country?
Well, I think, first of all, they need to speak to where people are at right now in every part of this country. And I think there's a hunger out there for somebody to be speaking up from the left about the issues that matter to people, especially the rising cost of everything, the state of our healthcare system, and other priorities that Ontarians and Canadians have that I think they're not seeing reflected in their federal government right now. A good example, and we've heard it talked about here, is the war in Iran. And Canadians do not support that war. They don't like that the Prime Minister is leaning into that war, and I think they feel very strongly about that. They need somebody there on the federal scene who is going to be speaking for them, and this person has to get out there and listen to Canadians.
Get out there, listen to Canadians, but it seems that the struggle will be even harder just speaking because Abacus data did come out with some polling. Going into this convention, they say nearly half of Canadians do not see the party as being relevant. Only a third of Canadians see the party as having policies that present a real alternative. Why do you think Canadians have that perception of the federal NDP rather than seeing them as a solution and an answer to the challenges that they're facing?
Well, for one thing, I think the fact that we don't have that many people elected right now is a disadvantage. You're not able to get out and connect with as many people and make them aware of your policies and your positions. But I think that will change with a new leader. There's a real opportunity to have some interest in that person and what their perspectives are on things. And we're certainly feeling that energy in this convention, in this leadership race. In Ontario, we've seen our membership numbers double. We've been raising a lot of money. But I think the other thing I do want to mention is that, it really varies province to province too. I will say, we are the official opposition or government in just about every province and territory in this country right now. And sometimes people don't, connect the federal to the provincial that way. But it's really important. And I think the other thing that people heard here was they heard from Premier Wabkanu with an extraordinary speech, a wonderful vision, and a reminder to New Democrats, but also to Canadians, that New Democrats can deliver very good government and have done so many times in many places. And I think his message really resonated with people here, and I think it will resonate with a lot of Canadians. And so again, a new leader, some new energy, and an opportunity.
Although when you listen to Premier Canu's speech about, the solution is for the NDP to win government, when you look at where the NDP has been successful provincially, as you point out, it has been where the party has leaned more into the pragmatism of governing, not just the ideological concerns that, in some ways builds the base of the party. That is an eternal debate for New Democrats. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think that's a debate for every party when they reach government. I mean, look at the Conservatives in many provinces around this country where they're leading. They're leading from a very specific ideological place. And I think it's increasingly out of touch with where Canadians are at. So, obviously, when you're in government, you're making choices. But I look, for example, at Manitoba, a government that had just released a budget this week, the lowest per capita GDP to deficit of any province in the country, compared to my province, Ontario, where we have this astronomical deficit just ballooning out of control. In Manitoba, they're managing to be both fiscally responsible and addressing the things that Canadians care about, like affordability, helping reduce the cost of groceries, addressing the gaps in our healthcare system. These are really important for where I think most Canadians are at right now. It's certainly what I hear from people in Ontario. And our own government is failing completely on all of those points. So I think there's a lot to be learned from what we are managing to do here in Manitoba and in British Columbia, and a lot of consistency actually with our values. And again, you heard Wabkanu speak very plainly about the war in Iran. that this does not represent where he believes Manitobans are at or where Canadians are at. And again, there's really no voice speaking out like that other than New Democrats in this country right now. We need that federal voice. We need that voice at the national level. And I think increasingly Canadians are going to be finding that is a gap right now that they need filled. We need New Democrats elected.
You know, I'm going to ask you to build on that, if you will, Ms. Stiles, because as you pointed out, 6 either governments or official opposition in this country are at the provincial level, territorial level are New Democrats. And it has been said that the federal party could learn something from their provincial cousins. Specifically, what do you think the federal party can take away from the provincial wings of the NDP?
Well, I mean, first of all, I really do think that where we've made gains in the past, it's because we were really connected to where people were at in the moment. I think you have to listen. You know, that's what I always believe. My premier here, you know, always gives me that advice too. Wapkanu says, you know, get out there and listen to regular people, listen to real people. You've got to know where they're at, and you need to ensure that what you're proposing and your message really resonates with where people are at in that moment. I don't think any government that is not talking about how to reduce the cost of living for people right now, like dealing with soaring rents or grocery prices, or goodness, the price of gas right now is really out of touch. And I think, you know, connecting those issues to the bigger things that represent our values as Canadians. If you're seeing gas out of control of prices, you know that's linked to a war that none of us want. Canadians do not want to follow Donald Trump into that war. It's a message we are hearing all across the country. So again, leading into where people are at, and then organizing, doing the hard work of organizing in every region, in every part of this country. And I think what's exciting about this opportunity we have with picking a new leader is that we get to actually engage people. We've gotten a lot of new people excited to be part of electoral politics again. That's wonderful news for all of us.
You know, of course, you're the leader of the opposition in Ontario. Both Toronto, the provincial capital, and Ottawa, the national capital, are in Ontario. You are the official opposition. Your vote share did go down, though, in the last provincial election. I'm wondering how much you need the federal NDP to do better in order to have some type of spin-off effect for the provincial, the Ontario wing of the party.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think a lot of people out there, I don't fool myself. I think a lot of people, particularly in Ontario, connect the federal and the provincial lines blur a lot, particularly in places like Ottawa. But I also think that, you know, where we talk about the issues that matter to people, they're going to connect no matter what level. And so I think like when the federal government is talking, or the federal NDP is talking about strengthening our healthcare system, something that is deep in the values of New Democrats, that helps us. When they're talking about the issues and hearing what we're hearing from the people in our communities, that's going to help us. Absolutely. And like I said, we have seen our membership numbers double in Ontario through this leadership race. It's gotten people excited, and I think that's a great thing. I think whoever ends up as our next leader is going to have a really solid foundation to build on, and that's also due to some hard work of, you know, many past leaders. From Ed Broadbent to Alexa McDonough to Jack Layton to Jagmeet Singh. We have built over time, and we've had our ups and our downs, but New Democrats, we didn't pick an easy path. We picked the path that we know will make life easier and better for the most people, and that's why we do what we do.
Marit Stiles, always appreciate the time. Good to speak with you. We'll speak again. Thank you.